So let's start working with Azure File Shares. Now I already have my storage account open. I created that in a previous video. I've created some blob storage for the storage account. Now I want to work with file shares. Before I do, I want to show you one tool here that's right here. It says Open in Explorer. Now Explorer is the Azure Storage Explorer. You can download it, you can install it if you haven't done so yet. If not, you can, or if you have, you can click on Open Azure Storage Explorer here. So if you're dealing with a lot of Azure storage, it might make sense to download the Storage Explorer rather than coming in through the Azure portal all the time to deal with it. So that's just a tool for you to be aware of. Okay, now let's say I wanted to add a file share to this. So first thing I want you to notice, I do have my hierarchical namespace disabled right here. Now that's not going to mean that for the blob service. So in my blob service, I can't create directories and things like that because I don't have my hierarchical namespace enabled. That doesn't impact my file service. My file service, I can. You'll notice I do have some options here. Soft delete is enabled. Identity-based access is not configured. That's something I'd probably want to do if I was doing an actual, hey, I want to take my on-site file storage and move it into Azure. That's something I would want to deal with. Default share level permissions is something I might want to consider. Again, if I'm doing that and I'm replacing my on-site file server with an Azure storage file share. So just things to be aware of. Now, when I go to create them, I'm going to expand data storage and I'm going to come to file shares. And at the moment, I don't have any file share. Now, if you go back and reference the video where I created this storage account, or if you remember from when I did it earlier, I set this up primarily for blob storage, but I can add file shares to that as well. And so I'll do that here just by clicking my add file share. Now, adding a file share is really easy. I'm going to put the name of it and I'm going to call this data files because I feel really creative today. Can only use lowercase letters. I forgot. Data files. There we go. And then my access tier, and this is kind of how I'm going to pay for it. So my premium is disabled because I don't have a premium file storage account. I have a standard file storage account. So I've got three options: transaction optimized, host or hot, and cool. And this kind of gives you a definition of each one and what they're for. So transaction is the lowest transaction cost pricing for transaction heavy workloads that don't need low latency that's offered by premium shares. Okay. We recommend this for migrating data to Azure files. So this is what you're probably going to use if you're migrating your file storage into Azure. We could do hot or cool. Hot balances storage and transaction pricing that have a good measure of both. So a lot of transactions, a lot of storage. And then cool is most efficient storage pricing for storage intensive workloads. Think I'm going to store a bunch of stuff, but I'm not going to access it very often. That's where we would want you to use cool. So I'm going to use transaction optimized. And next page is going to be my backup. So I can use an existing vault. I can also choose to just disable backup. So I'm going to enable backup. I can use an existing vault, and then I can set up my backup policy name. And this is a daily policy, and I can look at my different ones or create a new backup policy if I need it. Here are my policy details. It backs up daily at 7:30 UTC and retains backups for 30 days. If I'm cool with that, great. If we do more backups, obviously we're storing more. It's going to cost us a little bit more. So next page is going to be my review and create. And if I'm happy with it, verify everything, validation passed, I can click create. Now that's all I have to do to create my file share. Accessing is pretty simple as well, although there is a couple of steps we're going to have to go through. I'm going to wait for this here to finish and tell me that it's created. See if that's the process it's still working on. Oh, backup deployment. So our file share is up. Now it's working on the backup deployment. Cool. So since the file share is up, I can browse my file share. And here I can Ignore connect for the moment. We'll talk about that in a second. Add directories, upload files, delete my share, change tier, edit quota. Okay, pretty straightforward, right? The things that we would normally do when we are managing the file share. Now, the file share is of absolutely no usefulness unless we can connect to the file share. And that's what this connect option is. And I have three options here. I can set up connection for a Linux or Windows system, Linux system, or Mac OS. And for each one, I'm going to fill this out. Now, I only have to do this once, right? So let's say I've got a file share. I have, 100 people that I want to access this file share. I don't have to do this 100 times. I can do this once. I can specify the drive letter. I want to use drive letter of, let's say, G. How are we going to authenticate? Are we using Active Directory or Microsoft Entra? Once I get all of my settings the way I want, I'm going to click on Show Script. And this is going to be my script that's going to connect my users to this share. So I can take this script, download or save it, and then I can use this script and deploy the script on all the devices I need to access it. Now, notice this gives you a little bit of information about what the script does. Azure Share will be persistently mounted on port 445. If your ISP is blocking port 445, then here's a couple of other options. So it will give you some information that you need. But once you're happy with it, then we can copy to clipboard, save our script, and run our script on all the devices that need access. Now, the Linux and Mac OS going to be very similar. Linux, what's our mount point, and show the script. And then Mac OS, mount point, show the script. Okay, there we go. Now that we've got that, we can start connecting users, download those scripts. We can start connecting users to our file shares. And we can do that and make this available from just about anywhere that we want to. Okay, there we go. Oh, real quick, if you want to delete, if you have some, let me add a directory here real quick. Directory, let's do an accounting directory. And click OK. Okay, now it's my accounting directory. I can go in there. I can add new directories. I can upload files. Okay, everything that we're used to dealing with in a regular file share, delete my directory. And then if I want to delete my entire share, that option is right here. So storage account, I'm going to access my storage account. This is how you'd find it in the future. File shares, access my share, see what's in it. Browse is going to show me what's in it. This is going to give me an overview of it. When I'm done with it, I can delete the file share. All right, there we go. That is how you work with file shares in Azure.